All right. Chapter 1, Common Core Practice. Got a bunch of problems, so let's get started. Problem 1. We have 2p over 8 plus 17, so equals 9. So I'm going to write that out. 2p over 8 plus 17 equals 9. First thing we have to do is we have to get rid of that 17 right there. So minus 17, cross that out. While I'm at it, 2p over 8 is just 1p over 4 or p over 4. So why don't I do that while I'm at it? P over 4 equals 9 minus 17 is negative 8. Okay. In order to get p all by itself, we have to multiply both sides by 4. Multiply both sides by 4. That crosses out. P equals negative 32, which gives us C. All right, problem 1, donezo. Problem 2. We got 5x minus 9 equals 3x minus 3. So let's write that out. 5x minus 9 equals 3x minus 3. Let's get rid of the smallest x. You see a 3x on the right side and a 5x on the left. Let's get rid of the smallest x, and that would be 3x. So minus 3x minus 3x. When you have variables on both sides of the equal sign, get rid of one of them from one of the sides. And I like getting rid of the smallest one. By doing that, we have 2x minus 9 equals negative 3. Now I add 9 to both sides. Add 9, cross u out. And over here I'll write out 2x equals negative 3 plus 9 is 6. Divide both sides by 2 because 2 is being multiplied to x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right. Steven. What does Steven want to do? Steven wants to buy a $500 bicycle. You go get that money, Steven. Steven has no money saved. Well, all right. But he'll be able to deposit $35 into a savings account when he receives his paycheck each Friday. So he's got himself a $500 bicycle that he wants. $500. Okay. He can raise $35 each Friday, so per week. So we'll put $35 per week. Okay. However, before Steven can buy the bike, he must give his sister $60 that he owes her. So he's already down $60. All right. So that's our equation for how many weeks will Steven need to deposit money into his savings account before he can pay back his sister and buy the bike. So in order to solve this, we have to add 60 to both sides. Plus 60, cross u out. Okay. That leaves me with $560 equals 35W. In order to get W all by itself, divide both sides by 35. Divide both sides by 35. And 560 divided by 35, I believe, is 16. So W is going to equal 16. What does that mean? 16 weeks. Page 2. We've got ourselves a regular old two-stepper, but it's not fun looking. Not at all. Negative 26. I'm going to write it over here. Negative 26 minus 1/5 n equals 3/5 n. So what we have is we have a variable on the left and a variable on the right. And even though those variables have fractions in front of it, we treat them the same that we would if it wasn't a fraction. So I'm going to get rid of the smallest one. If I have variables on both sides of the equal sign, I always try to get rid of the smallest one. The smallest one is negative 1/5. So the way I get rid of a negative 1/5 n from both sides is I add 1/5 n from both sides. That crosses out. negative 26 is going to equal 3/5 plus 1/5 is 4/5 n. In order to get n all by itself, we got to get rid of the fraction. Instead of dividing a fraction, I'm going to multiply the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5 over 4, 5 over 4, cross that out, cross that out. N is going to equal negative 32 and a half. I'm going to be honest. I didn't know that. But what I do know is that 5 over 4 is a little bit more than 1. And so if I multiply 26 by a little bit more than 1, I'm going to get a little bit more than 26. And the only logical thing that could be that is that. Now, I could use a calculator, but who needs one of those? Which of the following is equivalent to that equation right there? So before I even attempt the problem, I'm just going to look at my possible answers. And it looks like I don't have to do anything on the left side. All I have to do is just distribute a property and go for it. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4x. Negative 2 times positive 6 is negative 12. 30 is going to equal that. And that's B. Simple enough. All right. And you're not going to be simple, this guy right here. So let's get started on it. While I'm at it, instead of just writing out the original problem, I'm going to quick distribute right now. 1/4 of 7t is 1/4 times 7, 7 over 4t. 1/4 of 2 is a half. That's going to equal, look at that, 7 over 4t minus 8. Now, why did I say, look at that? Well, because on the left side, I have 7 over 4t, and on the right side, I have 7 over 4t. And if you have something on the left side that's exactly the same as something on the right side, they both cancel each other out. What drops down is a half on the left, negative 8 on the right. Is 1/2 the same as negative 8? No. So my variable disappeared. What's left? Nothing. No solution. So if your variables disappear and you're left with a math situation that doesn't make sense, no solution. If I were to get 1/2 equals 1/2, then it would be infinite solutions. But it's not what happened. It's not what happened at all. Done this page. Dunzo. All right, third page. I'm going to start right off the bat like I did a problem not too long ago where I have distributed property immediately. 1/3 of negative 24q is going to be negative 8q. That's supposed to be a q. It looks like a g. I'm still getting the hang of this stylus thing. What am I doing? 1/3 times negative 27 is negative 9. That's the left side. And on the right side, I have negative 8q. Minus 9. Oh, look, the left side and the right side are exactly the same. What does that mean? Infinitely many solutions. I need to not go any further because I already know that once the left side is exactly the same as the right side, I have infinite solutions. Dunzo, dunzo, funzo. A minus 5 equals 18. This is a nice one-stepper. I could use a one-step problem to make life a little easier. Is A all by itself? No. What's in the way? Negative 5. How do I get rid of negative 5? Add 5. Add 5 to both sides. Cross U out. 18 plus 5 is 33. 23. Just kidding. 23. Michael Jordan. What's your answer? Another one-stepper. We've got negative 0.6x equals 3. Divide both sides by negative 0.6, negative 0.6. Cross that out. And x is going to equal, positive divided by a negative is a negative. 3 divided by 0.6 is going to be negative 5. And that's that for page 3. Problem 10. I'm starting out with distributed property right away. 23 times 9 is 207. 207. 23 times negative x is negative 23x plus 14x equals 162. All right. I have two x's on the same side. So this is not one of those cases where I know a lot of people want to subtract something from both sides. It's not what you're doing here. Since they're right next to each other, you actually just combine them. Negative 23x plus 14x is negative 9x. Okay, 207 is in front of it, equals 162. I've got to get rid of the 207. So I'm going to subtract 207 from both sides. And that looks like it's going to be negative. That's the worst arrow I've ever made in my entire life. Negative 9x equals negative 45. Divide both sides by negative 9. Divide both sides by negative 9. And x equals positive 5. All right, let's get rid of these rascally multiple choice problems. I don't know how that 6 showed up there. All right. The cost in dollars of making V calculators is represented by that equation C equals 18V plus 87. How many calculators are made when the cost is 663? 663. 663 is now going to replace C, so I don't have to do too much. It's not like I have to overthink this guy right here. Subtract 87, cross that out. 663 minus 87, 576 equals 18V. Divide both sides by 18. I'm not even going to pretend like I know what that is off the top of my head. 32. So V equals 32. V represents calculators. So my answer is going to be, how many calculators are made when the cost is $663? 32 calculators are made. All right. What do we have here? We have distributed property right away. 6 times 2m is 12m. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24 equals 6m. Now, normally when I have variables on both sides of the equal sign, I'd get rid of the smallest one. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to get rid of the 12m on the left. And what that does, even though it's not the smallest one, it keeps something on the left and something on the right. And that something on the right should actually be negative 6m. So negative 6m on the right. Divide both sides by negative 6. Divide both sides by negative 6. Negative 24 divided by negative 6 is positive 4. So m equals 4. Okie dokie, page 5. My job is to solve the equation for y, which means in these cases, not only do I have a y, but I have an x there. So I'm doing what's eventually going to be called writing things out in slope-intercept form. You don't know that yet. Or do you? I don't know. In order to get y all by itself, I'm going to subtract 1/5 x from both sides. Yes, both of them. Okay. If that was just 1/5, I'd subtract 1/5 from both sides. So now that there's an x attached, nothing changes. Y equals. Now I have a 4 and I have a negative 1/5 x. Because of slope-intercept form, I'm going to write this out as 1/5 x plus 4. Okay, negative 1/5 x, positive 4, negative 1/5 x plus 4. If you don't know what slope-intercept form is, you will. You will very soon. All right. Similarly, I have to get y all by itself. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides minus 3x from both sides. That gives me negative 3x plus 5 on the left equals 6y. Y is not by itself because 6 is in the way. 6 is being multiplied to y, so I'm going to divide everything by 6. Every part by 6. When I do that, I'm going to move y to the left. Negative 3 over 6 is the same as negative 1/2 x, and 5 over 6 is just 5 over 6. So I never said it would be beautiful. I only said it would be correct. Now, I like things as fractions for slope-intercept purposes. And again, if you don't know what slope-intercept form is, you will. You will very soon. Is y all by itself? No. What's in the way? I've got a 4 in the way, and I've got a negative 1.8x in the way. I'm going to add 1.8x to both sides, add 1.8x to both sides. That gives me 4y equals 1.8x plus 8. Is y all by itself? No. 4 is in the way. Divide 4, divide 4, divide 4. Y equals, I think 1.8 divided by 4 could be 0.2, but I'm going to use Mr. Calculator to do the heavy lifting for me. 1.8 divided by 4 is 0.45. I was way wrong. 0.45 x plus 2. I can handle that second part. I can handle it just fine. All right, one more to go. I've got 2/3 x plus 4 equals 9. Now I'm just solving for x again like I had been. Subtract 4 from everything, minus 4, cross that out. 2/3 x, 9 minus 4 is 5. I have 2/3 in front of x. Instead of dividing the fraction, I'm going to multiply the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3 over 2. Instead of dividing the fraction, multiply the reciprocal. 5 times 3 over 2 is the same as 15 over 2. And that's my answer. Done. All right, we are solving for y. I have 6 times 4.5y, distributive property right there. 6 times 4 is 24, so 6 times 4.5 is going to be 27. So I've got 27y minus 6 times 12 is 72, with a negative in front of it, equals 9. I'm going to add 72 to both sides. Write it over here because I'm running out of room. 27y equals, that's supposed to say 72. 9 plus 72 is 81. Divide everything by 29, divide everything by 29, and 81 divided by 29 is 3, baby. Again, I'm still getting the hang of this thing. Handwriting's sloppy. It's normally pretty, but in this case, it's not pretty at all. All right, more solving. This looks bad, but it's actually not that bad. I have c plus a regular number, so I have to subtract that regular number from both sides. You're tempted to do a reciprocal thing, but don't. What we have on the left is 5/7 minus 1/3. I could use my calculator for this, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write everything out here and do this problem the way we would way back in the day when teacher forced us to do fractions without calculators. So I need a least common denominator, which is going to be 21. So I'm going to multiply this guy by 3 over 3 and this guy by 7 over 7. 15 over 21, 9 plus 10, minus 7 over 21, 9 plus 10. 15 minus 7. Now that we have common denominators, you subtract, in this case, the top. 15 minus 7 is 8. Keep the bottom the way it is. And that's my answer. So I really should write out c equals 8 over 21. Yes, we could have used a calculator, but that's not fun. I'm all about fun. I'm all about having a good time as I get my marker colors. Oh, look, distributive property again. 2 times x, 2 times -9. Bring down the plus 3. Bring down the minus 15x equals 50. Look at all the stuff I have going on the left side. Look at all that. I have a 2x on the left. I also have a negative 15x on the left. You're not going to do anything to both sides. They're on the same side, so you can combine them. That gets me negative 13x. Similarly with the regular old numbers here. I have a negative 18 and I have a positive 3 right next to each other. Combine them, minus 15. And then on the other side, I have 50. Add 15 to both sides. Add 15 to both sides, cross you out. I have negative 13x equals 65. Divide both sides by negative 13. And x is going to equal negative 5. I want to write on my face there. All right, one more. Oh my goodness. You know, it's funny. Today's date is actually March 30th, which means we're a few weeks past Pi Day, and we have all these pies. Now, this problem looks bad, but it's not. I have a minus 2 pi. A is not by itself because negative 2 pi is in the way. How do I get rid of a negative 2 pi? Well, you add 2 pi, of course. Add 2 pi to both sides. On the right side, I have 9 pi plus 2 pi. Should I get my calculator? No. Because if I have 9 pi's and I add 2 more pi's, I get 11 pi's, which sounds like a fun party. And you know me, I'm all about fun. Almost done. Almost done. 2 more pages to go. All right, we've got distributive property right off the bat. 1/5 of 7k is 7/5 k. Just multiply straight across the top. Keep the bottom as is. 1/5 of 3 is 3/5 k equal 7/5 k minus 4. Now, this problem looked awful to start out. But now what I see is on the left, I have 7/5 k, and on the right, I have the same thing, which means they cross out. On the left side, I can bring down a 3/5, and on the right side, I bring a negative 4. Now, in a previous problem, when both of my variables or all of my variables disappear, if I have something on the left that's not exactly the same as something on the right, I am left with no solution. That's going to be my answer. No solution. No answer will work. Nothing. All right. 22, the old Taylor Swift special. We got h plus 7 on the left. Nothing happens. H plus 7 on the left. On the right, I have 4/7 of an h plus 3/7 of an h. So if I take 4/7 and 3/7 and add them up, I have 7/7 or a whole h. And my goodness gracious, look what happens. I have an h on the left and the exact same h on the right. They cancel each other out. Bring down the 7 on the left. I have nothing on the right. All of my variables disappeared. I have 7 equals 0, which doesn't make sense. So I have, once again, no solution. All right. 23. I've got myself negative 6b on the left. I have 24 on the left. Nothing changes. So I'll just drop it down. Negative 6b plus 24 equals, on the right, negative 6 times b, which is, negative 6b. Negative 6 times negative 4 is, positive 24. The left side is the exact same as the right side. So in this case, it's not no solutions, it's the exact opposite. Infinite, or infinitely many solutions. See, this page looked so bad. turned out just fine. Isn't that life? All right. Last problem on this page. Nothing fancy is going to happen here. I just have a b on the left, a 5 attached to it, and a plus 3. Let's get rid of that plus 3. Let's get rid of that plus 3. Cross you out. I have 5b equals 27 plus 3, which I think is 30. Divide both sides by 5. Divide both sides by 5. And b is going to equal 6. Okay. One more page to go. All right, the last page is one whole problem. I think we can handle it. Distributed property right off the bat. 3 times z is 3z. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Equals 7z plus 4. I have a z on the left side, different from the z on the right side. I like getting rid of the smaller one first, so let's subtract 3z minus 3z. That crosses out. Oops, wrong button. That crosses out. Drop down to negative 9 equals 7z's minus 3z's is 4z's plus 4. Is z all by itself? No. There's a 4 in front of z and a 4 after z, not attached to it, so let's get rid of the one not attached. So I have negative 9 minus 4, which is negative 13, equals 4z. Is z all by itself? No. What is in the way? 4. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. Cross you out. And z equals negative 13 over 4. Or that would be negative 3 1/4 or negative 3.25. Either way, that's what I got. And that's it for this packet. Bye.